What's going on? This broadcast is brought to you by Superior Tactical Solutions. When accuracy counts, Superior Tactical Solutions specializes in highly accurate Remington 700s and AR-15s. Please check out their website at www.superiortactical.com. Next, we have a local band called the Scandalmongers. I apologize, I do not know exactly where in Indiana they are from, but we do have a song for you from them called Sex for Breakfast. No, really.
That's awesome.
Please go to our website, www.indianaundergroundradio.com, and blog. For crying out loud, it's free. And we're back. You're listening to Indiana Underground Radio. We were just before the break discussing the TSA, their checkpoints in Tennessee, and apparently for a while they've been doing checks at bus stops in Florida. In Tennessee, the TSA claims it's just a training exercise. Some say it's more than that. But even if it is just training exercise for what? Instituting complete martial law?
No, well, obviously it's a quote unquote training exercise, but they chose Tennessee not because they're worried about terrorists in that state. What they're doing is they're just getting everything set and everything in order for them to go to other states. That's literally the only reason. And they did Tennessee because it's not too desolate. They want to ease people into the idea of having the TSA at all these highways, all these cities, and if they obviously went out to West Virginia,
as the saying goes, just turn up the heat slowly so that people don't realize they're being cooked.
Right. The same thing with the boiling frog. Turn the heat up too hot, frog jumps out. You turn it up a little bit, turn it back down. Turn it back up a little bit more, turn it back down. Frog boils alive.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry if that was a little blunt, but that's what happens.
Right. Point taken. All right, sorry, I have to make some points about this. In the photograph from the you see on the TennesseeNewsPress.com, you see TSA agents, Tennessee Highway Patrolmen, military, which I assume is National Guard, being briefed by someone that's out of frame. Number two, who is telling who what to do here? Let's get one thing straight. The states created the federal government, not the opposite. Government gets its authority from the people. The people should not need authorization from the government to proceed with their lives. Three, assuming that this is National Guard, it is a stretch that the modern National Guard is the state militia of Article 1 of the Constitution. They attend federal training and doctrinization. Their uniforms say U.S. Army. Their vehicles, weapons, and ammunition are either owned by the federal government or heavily subsidized by the federal government. Since the Insurrection Act of 2008, the President of the United States can override the governors and do with guardsmen as he or she sees fit. So, then first, I want to clarify something. This is by no means an attack on the fine men and women of the National Guard. It's just the way it's set up is of some concern to me. For instance, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 15 of the United States Constitution, quote, to provide for the calling forth of the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 16, to provide for organizing, arming, and discipline the militia, and for governing such part of them as may be employed in the service of the United States, reserving to the states respectively, the appointment of the officers and the authority of training the militia according to the discipline prescribed by Congress. Article 1, Section 9, Clause 2. The privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion the public safety may require it. Amendment 2. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of the free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. In 1982, the Senate Judiciary Committee Subcommittee on the Constitution stated in Senate Document 2807, quote, that the National Guard is not the militia referred to in the Second Amendment is even clearer today. Congress had organized the National Guard under its power to, quote, raise and support armies, and not its power to, quote, provide for organizing, arming, and discipline the militia, end quote. The modern National Guard was specifically intended to avoid status as the constitutional militia, a distinction recognized by 10 United States Code 311 Alpha. Title 32 United States Code in July 1918 completely altered the definition of the militia and its service, who controls it and what it is. The difference between the National Guard and the regular Army was swept away and became a personal pay folder classification only, thus nationalizing the entire National Guard into the regular standing armies of the United States. Okay, and then the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878 forbids U.S. troops from being deployed on American soil for law enforcement, with the exception provided by the Insurrection Act of 1807. In 2008, Congress, signed by President Bush, changed the Insurrection Act to list, quote, natural disaster, epidemic, and other serious public health emergency, terrorist attack, or incident, end quote, as conditions under which the President can deploy U.S. Armed Forces and federalized state guard troops if he determines that, quote, authorities of the state or possessions are incapable of maintaining public order, end quote. Yeah.
I just got a question real quick. I mean, every year it's, or every election, especially on the federal level, it's always Democrat, Republican. This year's Democrat, he's terrible, I'm going to vote Republican next year. Republican's terrible, they vote Democrat. Bush had this, and he also had the Patriot Act.
Right.
He had this in the Patriot Act, and Obama had NDAA.
NDARP also.
Yeah, and many executive orders. Do you fundamentally see a difference between the sides? They're doing the same thing.
Oh, absolutely.
And two sides of the same coin. Sorry, go ahead. I just had to bring that up.
And while we're at it, this is why the show interviews the Libertarian Party, the Constitution Party, etc. I mean, nowadays to still think that there's a difference between Democrats and Republicans to me is absolutely freaking absurd. So, sorry. And actually, that brings me to my point. So, we have established that the National Guard is not the state militia and are federal troops. Assuming you find the Posse Comitatus Act and Insurrection Act as constitutional, I personally have serious doubts. The law states that they can do this if authorities of the state are incapable of maintaining public order. I didn't realize that Tennessee was incapable of maintaining public order. Apparently they're going buck wild down there. There's terrorists running around with AK-47s.
Apparently you got to get the TSA down there.
Yeah, you got it.
ASAP.
Yeah, definitely. They need your help. This is insane. Basically what they want you to believe is that the state of Tennessee or the state of Indiana, and therefore we the people, are incapable of managing ourselves. Therefore we need federal troops stopping you on the freaking highway. And, as Tyler said, so somebody might be bad, therefore treat everyone as bad. Make no mistake, this is martial law. Between the federal government and the mass media, they are trying to scare you into federal martial law, a police state, and perhaps a new world order in the name of safety. You already said what Benjamin Franklin said, those who would trade liberty for temporary security deserve neither. I agree. In my opinion, the modern National Guard has blurred the lines between states' rights and federal martial law. The Founding Fathers intended state militias to balance the power to keep in check a strong and possibly tyrannical central government. I suggest what we need to do is to get rid of the National Guard and return to state militias. For example, the Indiana State Militia will be under strict governor control and could only be called into national service by Congress in times of actual national defense or invasion. Not Bosnia, not Kosovo, not Iraq, not Afghanistan, not Iran, not North Korea. As it says, Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution. I'm just going to come out and say it. We need a governor with the balls to put the federal government back in their place. And to kick out the National Guard and to restore state militia as the Founding Fathers intended it.
We need a lot of governors with balls on them to do that.
Hey, maybe. Yeah, Indiana does have a, quote, state militia. They are calling it the Indiana National Guard Reserves, which is under strict governor control. However, if I'm not mistaken, I believe their mission statement is to support the National Guard, which is